Gentlemen, please rise for the arrival of the official party and remain standing for the national anthem and invocation. Side boys, post. Strike 4 bells. Captain, United States Navy, arriving. Side boys, post. I'd like to ask Miss Audrey Fletcher to join me on the stage, please. Color guard, advance the colors.
Left, face, present, on.
Ladies and gentlemen, our national anthem.
Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. And the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Ready, two. Retire the colors.
Shoulder, on. Ready, cut, right, face, forward, march.
Ladies and gentlemen, Chaplain Lesack will now give the invocation.
Let us pray. Eternal God, there is an ebb and flow of change to everything we do in life. An appointed time for everything according to your divine plan. There comes a time when the uncharted waters along life's journey stretch far and wide before our very eyes as we look into an unknown future. Father of all our journeys, you pledge to travel that unknown with us. And today we ask that you walk with our trusted shipmate who after 32 years of faithful service to our Navy is moving on. Reach out to him with your strong, reassuring hand to lead as much as to guide him through all his unknown tomorrows. As Master Chief Rodrigues comes to the end of this journey with us, we ask for a special grace that his future choices will be blessed, whatever they may be. Strengthen his conviction that the uncertainties that so often come with change and this act of moving on will not distract him from the greater and more wonderful gifts you have in store for him and to those who walk by faith. This is our prayer, that as he so wonderfully served and enriched our military community by his faithful presence, that you will continue to bless him, his family, with continued health, happiness, and peace. As always, we make our prayer to you, who are the beginning and the end of all that is and all that will be. Amen.
Would the guests please be seated, please? Ladies and gentlemen, we're here today to celebrate Torpedoman's Mate Master Chief Rodrigues' distinguished career. At this time, it gives me great pleasure to introduce Master Chief Torpedoman's Mate Roscoe Vaughn, who is the Surf Pack Force Torpedoman and Staff Command Master Chief.
Hey, thanks, Master Chief. Tony, Antonio, or many other things I've heard you called, and his family. It's an honor for me to be up here. I'll tell you, I flew in from California just for this. I love this guy, so bear with me if I get emotional up here. I'll try not to, though. First, let's take a few minutes to talk about Tony, because today is all about Tony. You know, he'll tell you that every day, but today more than any other day. It's all about Tony. Tony's definitely a man about change. I heard the preacher up here say something about, getting ready for change. Well, he's always adapted to change, so his whole life has been about change. Tony joined the Navy in Rhode Island, and his family's Portuguese, and Tony had a hard time adjusting, but he changed. He's changed so much when he was young to now that he's old, he's driving a Corvette, he's still looking for change. I don't know about other changes in his life. I'm going to talk a little bit about stuff that I'm probably not supposed to. But if you didn't know, Tony's changed many times with wives. And he can't figure out what color hair, red hair, blonde hair, brown hair. It just goes on and on. But Tony, there's a lot of time left, and you probably can get a few more. Because you got more time to do it now. Just won't be able to travel around the world like you've been. On a serious note, though, in Tony's time, he's been on several ships, 32 years, at least one or two, in many different commands, both training commands and others. And he's about changing the mindset of sailors, changing their set to bring forward the change that we have in the Navy every day. But he never forgot that the change that the Navy's making is not the change we all need to make, that we need to change the mindset of our sailors. He never forgot that. Sailors like me, who he brought up through the Navy. Good sailors, bad sailors, brought them all up. I was one of those bad guys, but that's okay. He took change on one ship when he went there, and they had the weaponeers out there doing hoist and boatswain mate work and this and that. And Tony said, "Hey, we don't need a weapons department." Of course, he went that up the chain of command. And he said, "We don't need a weapons department." And the captain said, "Yeah, we do. You're in weapons. You're the LCPO." And he said, "No, I'm not. I'm the deck LCPO." But that change didn't happen. Tony changed to another duty station. Then he came into the Torpedo Enterprise. Back then it was just called the Torpedo Program. Now it's the Torpedo Enterprise. I think that's one of Tony's changes. Because he always brings an Enterprise everywhere he goes. Whether it's an Enterprise rental car or it's just an Enterprise at all. He brought change here to the torpedo office. And he brought change along with him. He brought young torpedomen that were out there struggling to get advanced and got them advanced, never forgetting that the change that's happening in the Navy is not the change that needs to affect our sailors except in a positive way. So he's done that. He went to training commands. Oh yeah, he ruffled feathers there too. He was leading the change, trying to make people see his way. Well, sometimes they've seen his way, and again, Tony changed to another duty station. Many people don't understand Tony, When I first met him a long time ago, he comes down and says, "Hey, this and that and this, so we're going to make change. You're doing good things out here." And I said, "Yeah, I'm going to sea, I'm a young chief. I'm on a roll to sea. I want to get promoted." He said, "Oh, no, you don't need to go to sea. You need to go do this." I said, "No, I ain't going to California. I'm not going to go do a staff job because that's a dead-end job." Tony said, "Oh, yeah, you need to go there." So I was in Japan. I put in a 1306 to stay in Japan for another tour, to go to sea to a carrier, which I thought, hey, you got to go to sea to get promoted. So about 2 weeks later, I was laying in my bed at night, and I got a phone call about 2 o'clock in the morning. That's daytime in the States, you know. It's the detailer. So the detailer, he says, hey, Roscoe, guess what? I just faxed your orders to work. I said, oh, my 1306 got approved. He said, oh, no, we changed that. So what do you mean we changed? Oh, you're going to California to a staff job. And I said, wait a minute, we talked about that staff job. They said, oh, no, all the graybeards met up at Keyport. They're putting you in the staff job because they want you to go make change. That's Tony. He was leading the graybeards charge up there. And in our rate, there's only 6 torpedoman master chiefs. So, you know, 2 of them are here, and Rick's back there in the back saying, hey, can't wait for y'all to go. That's that change. But, you know, one more time, Tony. So let's see if we can capture a little bit about Tony, because it's all about Tony. Just ask him. When he was down at the fleet commander's job in Pac Fleet, I don't know if you guys know this, but he made a lot of change out there. I don't know if it was good, bad, or different, but it changed. Changed so much that they deleted the billet. Thanks, Tony. That was one of our advancement opportunities. They had 7 billets before that. But he eventually did what all of us do. He changed to a new duty station and went somewhere else. Another change. So now we find ourselves here today. Tony. My friend, my confidant. Your real challenge is yet to come. I mean, when you walk out that door today and you embark into that new journey of civilian, or civilian as you called it about 2 weeks ago, there's no longer overheads. Those are ceilings. Those aren't bulkheads. Those are walls. These aren't decks. There's no heads at the McDonald's. Those are bathrooms or restrooms or toilets. The big change is here. I'm not going to bore you guys very much, so I'm going to go ahead and get off this microphone up here and let the captain get up here and say the real good stuff. Change is good, Tony. From the time we join the Navy and we come up and we do our first re-enlistment, we start planning for this day. You know, we're never ready. I've been up behind the mic many times for folks retiring and such, saying things about people that I knew a little bit about, but I know a lot about this man right here. This is a great man. So you civilians better watch out, because he's going to change everything out there. Just give him the opportunity and he will. Sometimes you don't even have to give the opportunity to him, just be near him. So from the day you first join the Navy, you start planning for advancement, hoping that you'll get it, and doing the best job you can to get advanced. Then you re-enlist, and after your first re-enlistment, it's all downhill. You know, 32 years goes by like that. I got about 28 myself. Just went by like this. I can remember my first re-enlistment and say, hey, I can't wait till I retire. So now it's here, Tony. Change is here. It's coming. It's been laying in wait for you. But don't look at it as a change. Just look at it for another opportunity. Another opportunity to go change everybody else, because you've changed the torpedo enterprise. So good luck, my brother. And have a good time. And, you know, in the civilian world, I'm not a civilian yet. Someday they give gold watches. So I brought Tony a Navy gold watch, and I want to give it to you up here. You're up, Captain.
Thank you, Master Chief Roscoe, for those remarks. As the Master Chief said, indeed, the captain is up next. Let me introduce Captain John Elnitsky, who is the Executive Assistant to the Commander, Naval Sea Systems Command.
Thanks, Master Chief. Appreciate it. All right, what'd you really do with my speech?
It's in there.
All right. There we go. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow warfighters, distinguished guests all, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules to be here today to celebrate the career of Master Chief Tony Rodrigues. Until about an hour ago, I used to call him Rodrigues too, Master Chief, so don't worry. I'd especially like to welcome Master Chief's family that's here today, his 3 daughters, Candace, Goldie, and Crystal, their husband, Steve, and Crystal's friend, Sergeant Dion Blue. His relatives are here today. I think his brother Ron and his wife Joyce, Uncle Arthur and Aunt Marie, Uncle George, Aunt Madeline, his cousin Bob, his cousin Major Joe Paiva, his sister-in-law Julie, his nephew Joe, and his wife Vicky, his nephew Mike, Petty Officer Bailey and her husband Jim, Jessica, Joey, and he lists here his extended family, Linda and Stacy. So welcome all. Thank you for taking time to be here today. Your presence makes this a very special event. I mentioned to Admiral Belisle this morning that I was going to be speaking at Master Chief Rodrigues' retirement ceremony. And I said, you know, it's a really special day. He's the oldest and the longest serving torpedoman in the Navy, having enlisted in 1972. And the Admiral looked at me with that kind of frustrated frown he gets every now and then, mostly when he's talking to me, and says, "Partner, I don't think that's that old." Looks like I'm going to be serving as EA for a couple more months. I would like to take this opportunity to thank Master Chief for the invitation to join in this ceremony, marking the end of one voyage and the beginning of another. I always like to say thank you up front, Master Chief, because by the end I'm not sure if the feeling's still mutual. Today does mark a celebration of a career that was really steeped in excellence and dedicated to the defense of a nation. Today, in the midst of the global war on terror, it's a very different world than what existed back in 1972 when then young Antone Rodrigues started his career. Today we take a moment to pause, to remember, to observe, and to say thank you. Thank you to one of the heroes of the Cold War, a man who helped shape not only yesterday's Navy, but today's Navy, and really the Navy of tomorrow. He has educated a generation of torpedomen and changed the world for all of us. Now, back in 1972, when a much younger, Antone Rodrigues left his 8-track tapes, his monkey belt, and his bell-bottom jeans behind in Rhode Island to join. I know you had one. Don't kid me. Don't kid me. When he left all that behind to join the United States Navy, little did he know what a dramatic influence he would have on today's Navy. Now, Master Chief will tell you, and this is a quote, that he joined to improve his situation, get away from bad influences, and get his life going in the right direction. Now, I'm not going to try and speculate on what the bad influences were, but I certainly know that he got his life going in the right direction. He left a job as a textile mill floor boy to join the Navy in the midst of a war. At the time, the latest Admiral Zumwalt Z-gram praised the Navy's surge deployment following the invasion of South Vietnam. I find it kind of interesting that even today, as we talk about surge deployments of the Navy, not all that much has changed. Master Chief started his career in Great Lakes at boot camp and at his first torpedoman school for the Mark 37 in Orlando, Florida. I used to see Mark 37s. They used to put them around as like ornaments on the lawn, I think, right? In the next 32 years, Master Chief Rodrigues served as 7 ships, including the Sperry, the Orion, the Fulton, the McKee, the Canopus, the Simon Lake, and the Emery S. Land. Although never assigned to a submarine, a flaw that Master Chief Peterson and I will overlook, at least for today, he certainly covered every submarine tender the Navy has commissioned in the last 50 years. I'm going to dispute, however, his current boss's claim, Gene Johnson, who said that he thought he was also a plank owner on the Confederate ship Hunley. Gene, I did a little looking into that, and I don't think the Hunley carried torpedoes at that time, so it doesn't really make sense that he would have been on there. However, as the oldest and longest-serving torpedoman in the United States Navy, Master Chief became part of the testing and repair of 5 different undersea weapons, including nuclear anti-submarine weapons, offensive land attack missiles, and conventional heavyweight and lightweight torpedoes. Along the way, he helped shape today's Navy as a recruiter, instructor, and company commander. His performance as a recruiter was so exceptional that he was meritoriously promoted to Chief Petty Officer in 1984. Now, Chief Suave tried to tell me that being meritoriously promoted for bringing people into the Navy has some questionable judgment, but I think we all have to thank him. Now, as if doing the job of the day wasn't enough, he also managed along the way to complete his high school degree and recently earned a Bachelor of Science in Business and E-Commerce. So I think, as the Master Chief mentioned, he's ready to go out and make some change happen. Maybe something that's going to go into his pocketbook, hopefully, too. Not too bad from a floor boy from Warren, Rhode Island, huh, Master Chief? Now, Master Chief may not know it, but I actually started my career as a torpedo officer. My first boat I was assigned as a torpedo, and I've always had a special respect for the torpedomen. So it wasn't too hard to do a little pulling of strings and find out, well, what was Master Chief really all about? Now, Senior Chief Harold relayed a story of how Master Chief Rodrigues liked to provide what I would call a little forceful backup to the officers who forgot the role of the chief. Let's just say that Master Chief was never shy about correcting performance, even if it came at the top of his lungs in an officer's stateroom. Now, I've had the pleasure of serving with Master Chief Rodrigues for just a short time in the Undersea Weapons Program. Master Chief expertly oversaw the orderly transition of the lightweight torpedo maintenance to a single site. This was a much-needed efficiency that the Navy needed to be able to continue along its path. He became fondly known as Father Closedown, and Gene tells me something about some slogan about no torpedo work today, let's go build a park. I don't know what that was all about, but he did execute an important cost reduction initiative and set the stage for tomorrow's Navy. Of course, in the process, he set a new program office record for days on travel. I understand he now has his own coffee mug and a seat in the U.S. Airway flight to Providence. Now, when he was in the office, I always appreciated the opportunity to have one of our commanding officer, chief of the boat type talks. Master Chief needed to explain to me why the latest thing I was trying to do with the torpedo enterprise was not such a good idea. Or sometimes he just wanted to come in and talk about our common passion, the Corvette. Hey, you know, there is a new one out this year, by the way. You know, even in my current job, Master Chief has always been quick to offer suggestions. Not shy about coming to the front office and pointing out some